3 months ago, I showed up to my dad's retirement BBQ and walked out knowing I'd just destroyed him. Let me explain. I'm 28. I deliver food on a bicycle. I live in a basement apartment that costs $600 a month. Yeah, the water heater's garbage, so I shower at the gym most days. My dad is Henry. My mom is Connie. My brother Cody, 31, works in finance. My sister Kayla, 25, does something with marketing. They all live in nice houses, nice neighborhoods. And me? I'm the family embarrassment. Always have been. The party was at my parents' house. 50-plus people in the backyard. Golf buddies, neighbors, work friends. I brought a $30 gift card to a restaurant my dad likes. It's what I could afford. I figured I'd drop it off, eat some food, leave early. I hadn't seen my family in 8 months, and that was fine by me. Shift attention, slightly quicker pace. I walked through the side gate into the backyard, and my dad saw me immediately. He was holding a microphone, because of course he was giving speeches. The second he spotted me, his face changed. This look of disgust. He raised the mic and said, "Hold up, everyone." My biggest mistake just walked in. The entire yard went quiet. 50 people turned to stare at me. My mom stood up from her chair laughing. She said, "Jesus Christ, look at him. Still wearing the same shirt from 3 years ago." Which wasn't true, but whatever. My dad kept going. He told everyone I was 28 and delivered Uber Eats on a bicycle. Said I couldn't even afford a moped. His golf buddies thought this was hilarious. My Uncle Elliot, my dad's brother, jumped in. Said his 16-year-old had a BMW. Everyone laughed harder. My dad kept the mic. Said I lived in a basement that smelled like piss and ramen. Said I showered at Planet Fitness because my landlord shut off my water. My brother Cody grabbed the gift card from my hand, ripped it open, and announced I'd brought a $30 gift card. Said, "Dad spends more than that on his morning coffee." Then he threw it at my face. My sister Kayla added I got fired from a pizza place for stealing breadsticks, which wasn't true. Some neighbor named Larry said, "Even crackheads have standards." Everyone laughed. My dad's face got serious. He said I was embarrassing him in front of his friends and I needed to leave. Just like that. "Leave now," I smiled. I'd been waiting 3 years for this moment. I pulled an envelope from my jacket pocket, handed it to him and said, "Read it tonight, alone." Then I got on my bike and rode off while they laughed and made jokes behind me. Here's what nobody at that party knew. That house they were standing in, the one my parents lived in for 30 years, my grandmother left it to me, Cody, and Kayla when she died. Equal shares. My parents have a life estate. They can live there until they die, but they don't own it outright. We do. Grandma died 9 years ago. I was 19, just dropped out of college after 1 semester because I hated it and had no idea what I wanted. My parents were furious, said I was throwing my life away. Cody was in grad school. Kayla was getting straight A's in high school. I was the failure who couldn't hack it. When the will was read, my parents acted like they were doing us a favor. Said the house was in trust, we'd inherit it eventually, they'd manage everything. I was 19, stupid, dealing with my own mess, so I didn't ask questions. Neither did Cody or Kayla. We signed whatever papers the lawyer gave us and moved on. But 3 years ago, I found a copy of the will in some old boxes. I read it carefully. It said the house was left to us 3 grandchildren as tenants in common. My parents had a life estate. Here's the thing about tenants in common. Any co-owner can force a partition sale at any time. The house gets sold, proceeds split 3 ways. I did research. A lot of research. Learned my parents treated the house like they owned it completely. Refinanced twice. Took out a home equity line of credit. Made improvements, remodeled the kitchen, all while telling us it was in trust and we'd get it eventually. But the will was clear. We owned it. They just got to live there. I thought about how they'd treated me my entire life. Never good enough. Cody was the golden child, Kayla the baby who could do no wrong. I was the middle kid who couldn't hold a job, couldn't finish school, couldn't get it together. Every family gathering was another chance to point out my failures. 3 years ago, I made a decision. I'd let them think I was exactly what they said I was, a failure, a loser, someone who'd never amount to anything. While they thought that, I prepared, got a food delivery job for the flexible schedule, kept expenses low, chose that basement apartment with the bad water heater when I could have afforded better, saved every dollar, found a lawyer who explained partition sales. Learned in our state, any tenant in common has an absolute right to partition. The court can't deny it. I prepared everything, petition, notices, all ready to file. 6 months ago, I told my lawyer I was ready but wanted to wait for the right moment. That moment was the retirement party. After my dad's speech, after the laughs, after they told me to leave, I handed him that envelope. It contained a letter from my lawyer, informing him I was filing for partition by sale. The house would be sold. Proceeds split 3 ways between me, Cody, and Kayla. My parents would need to find somewhere else to live. The letter noted the refinancing and home equity line would be paid off first, meaning less money for everyone. But that wasn't my problem. It said I'd contacted Cody and Kayla, explained everything. They'd chosen not to join, but I only needed myself to force the sale. I got home around 7 p.m. Knew my dad would read the letter eventually. By 9:47 p.m., my phone was ringing. Dad. I didn't answer. He called again at 9:51, 9:55. By 11 p.m., 17 missed calls from him, 8 from Mom, 5 from Cody, 3 from Kayla. I checked voicemails at midnight. 43 messages. Dad's first was tight. We need to talk. This is serious. Call me back. Second, angrier. You can't do this. You'll regret it. By the third, his voice cracked. You're destroying the family. We can work something out. Please don't do this. By message 10, he was begging. Offered money, a better apartment, a car cosign. Mom's voicemails were worse. Called me ungrateful, vindictive, then cried and begged. Cody said I was making a huge mistake. Kayla just cried, saying I was tearing the family apart. I didn't call back. The next morning, my lawyer said he'd gotten calls from people claiming to represent my parents. He told them I was his client. Go through legal channels. Asked if I wanted to proceed. I said yes. We filed the partition action that afternoon. The house was worth about $850,000. After paying off $320,000 in debts, that'd leave $530,000 and $176,000 each for me. Cody and Kayla, my parents get nothing. They're 61, have to move, figure out how to afford it on whatever retirement savings they have, which I'm guessing isn't much. $176,000 doesn't make me rich, but it's enough to change my life. A reliable car, better apartment, maybe school. I earned it by being who they said I was for 3 years, letting them mock me while I saved, planned, and waited. The voicemails kept coming for 3 days. I didn't listen to most. My lawyer said not to engage. 4 days after the party, my dad showed up at my apartment. I didn't let him in. He yelled through the door, "You're killing your mother. You're destroying everything we built." I told him he should have thought about that before humiliating me in front of 50 people. He said it was a joke, I was too sensitive. I opened the door, looked him in the face, said this wasn't about the party. It was about every time he'd made me feel worthless. Every comment, every comparison to Cody, every disappointed look. I said I was done being the family embarrassment, and he was about to learn what it felt like to lose everything. He tried to push past me. I blocked him. He said we needed to talk like adults. I said adults don't humiliate their kids at parties. I shut the door in his face. That was the first post I shared on Trust Test Hub. A week later, things spiraled. My Uncle Elliot showed up, said my parents were devastated, begged me to reconsider. Offered $25,000 to drop the action. I laughed. My share was $176,000. He left, but I realized he's a real estate attorney. If he was offering money, my parents knew they couldn't fight this legally. Then Cody came over with coffee and bagels, acting friendly. Said the party was out of line, but I was making this about hurt pride, not the house. I reminded him of Thanksgiving 2 years ago. Everyone criticizing my life. No one asking if I was okay. He said I was exaggerating. I asked him to name one time in 10 years our parents said they were proud of me. He couldn't. Cody asked what it'd take to stop. I said nothing. He offered $50,000. I said no. He left angry, but he didn't argue the law, just that I shouldn't do it. Then Kayla posted on social media, not naming me but clearly about me, called me out for holding grudges, destroying the family. Her friends piled on. I wanted to respond but didn't. Lawyer's orders. My parents filed a motion to delay the partition, claiming their life estate protected them. My lawyer said it was weak, would only delay things. They were spending money they didn't have on a losing fight. The house sold 6 weeks ago for $875,000. After debts and fees, $512,000 split 3 ways, $170,667 each. I bought a used Toyota, moved to a better apartment. Cody's investing his share. Kayla tried to refuse hers, called it blood money, but got it anyway. My parents moved to a small apartment. They're 61, starting over. My dad says I'm dead to him. My mom says I got my revenge. The family's fractured. Kayla hates us. Most relatives won't talk to me. Cody and I are outsiders together. This wasn't about money. It was about showing them I wasn't worthless, that I had power, that I could take something back after they took my dignity for years. My dad called me his biggest mistake at that party. His real mistake was underestimating me. Was it worth it? Yes. Every day of those 3 years, every dollar saved, every moment of planning, worth it. I'm not sorry. This is Trust Test Hub signing off. It's been 6 months since the house sold. 6 months since $170 on $660 hit my bank account and changed everything. 6 months since my parents moved into that small apartment with thin walls and a parking lot view. 6 months since my dad said I was dead to him and my mom begged me to see what I'd done. I thought that was the end of the story. I thought I'd won, closed the book, and moved on. But life doesn't work like that. The fallout keeps coming, and it's messier than I expected. This is Trust Test Hub, and here's what happened next. I'm still in my new apartment. It's nothing fancy, but it's clean, the heat works, and the hot water doesn't cut out mid-shower. I'm still driving that used Toyota, still delivering food, but I've cut back my hours. With the money and savings, I don't have to grind 60-hour weeks anymore. I've been taking community college classes online, basic stuff, business and accounting, trying to figure out if I want to commit to a degree again. It feels weird, sitting at a desk in my apartment, taking notes on a laptop I bought with the house money. It's not like I'm suddenly a scholar, but it's a start. For the first time, I'm choosing my path instead of just surviving. Cody and I talk more now, maybe once a week. Not like we're suddenly best friends, but there's a connection we didn't have before. We're the family outcasts, the two who burned it all down. He's been putting his share of the money into his kids' college funds and some real estate investment thing he's excited about. He says it's his way of making sure his family doesn't end up like ours, dependent on a house they don't fully own, betting on a future that can be taken away. Last week, he said something that stuck with me. He said, "I used to think you were the screw-up, Jet. But maybe you were the one who saw it all clearly first." I didn't know what to say to that. I just nodded and changed the subject. Kayla, though, she's a ghost. She hasn't spoken to me since the sale closed. I heard through Cody that she donated $50,000 of her share to a charity for homeless families. Posted about it on social media, of course. Said it was her way of cleansing the money. The comments were full of people praising her, calling her selfless, saying she was rising above the family drama. I rolled my eyes so hard I nearly sprained something. She's still got $120,667 sitting in her account, and she's still living in her nice condo, working her marketing job. If she's cleansing anything, it's her conscience, not the money. Cody says she's not talking to him either. She texts him occasionally, mostly to guilt trip him about siding with me. She's drawn a line and we're both on the wrong side of it. My parents are another story. I didn't expect to hear from them again after my dad's voicemail in that hardware store run-in. But about a month ago, my mom sent me a letter. Not an email, not a text, an actual handwritten letter mailed to my new apartment. I don't know how she got the address, probably from Kayla. I stared at the envelope for 2 days before I opened it. When I finally did, it was 3 pages long, written in her neat, slanted handwriting. She said she'd been thinking about everything, about the last 10 years, about the retirement party, about the house. She said she and Dad had made mistakes, not just at the party, but for years. She said they'd been so focused on pushing us to succeed that they didn't realize how much they'd hurt me. She admitted they'd treated Cody and Kayla differently, poured money and support into them because they seemed on track, while I was the one they thought needed tough love. She wrote that losing the house was the worst thing that had ever happened to her. Worse than when her own mom, my grandma, died. She said the apartment feels like a prison, not a home. She said Dad's been different since the sale. Quieter, angrier, spends hours staring out the window at nothing. She said they're both working part-time now, her at a retail job, him doing consulting for some old colleagues. They can't afford to retire like they planned. She said she doesn't blame me for exercising my legal rights, but she wishes I'd talked to them first, given them a chance to fix things before I blew it all up. She ended the letter, asking if I'd meet her for coffee. Just the two of us. No lawyers, no fighting, just a conversation. I haven't responded. I don't know if I will. Part of me wants to crumple the letter and forget it. Part of me keeps rereading it, looking for something, maybe sincerity, maybe manipulation. I showed it to Cody. He said Mom's probably just trying to salvage something before the family falls apart completely. He said he got a similar letter, shorter, less emotional, asking him to reconsider his stance with Kayla and come to a family meeting. He didn't respond either. We both know what those meetings would be. More guilt, more tears, more reasons why we're the ones who broke everything. The extended family drama hasn't let up. Uncle Elliot's been spreading the story to anyone who will listen. I got a call from a cousin I haven't spoken to in years saying she heard I'd stolen my parents' house. I laughed and hung up. My aunt, Mom's sister, sent another message saying I'm not welcome at Thanksgiving this year, which is fine because I wasn't going anyway. But my cousin Jet, the one who was kind of on my side, invited me to a low-key dinner at his place instead. Just him, his girlfriend, and a couple of friends. No family, no drama. I went. It was the first holiday meal in years where I didn't feel like I was on trial. We ate pizza, drank cheap beer, and talked about anything but the house. It felt normal. I didn't realize how much I'd missed that. Here's the thing I didn't expect. The money doesn't feel as good as I thought it would. Don't get me wrong, I love the car, the apartment, the freedom to work less and think about school. But every time I check my bank account, I see that $176.67 and it's like a weight. Not guilt exactly, but a reminder of what it cost. Not just the family, but the part of me that spent 3 years planning, waiting, holding on to every slight, every insult, every laugh at that retirement party. I thought getting the money would close that chapter, but it's like I'm still carrying it. Cody says he feels it too sometimes, like the money's tainted, not because it's blood money like Kayla says, but because it's tied to so much anger. 2 weeks ago, something happened that shook me. I was delivering food in a neighborhood near my parents' new apartment. Pure coincidence. I don't usually take orders that far out. I pulled up to the address and there was my dad, standing on the sidewalk taking out the trash. He didn't see me at first. He was wearing an old jacket, moving slower than I remembered, like the weight of the last 6 months was physically on him. I parked my car across the street, watched him for a minute. He looked smaller, not just thinner, but diminished. Then he turned, saw my car, and froze. I don't know if he recognized it was me, but he stared for a long time before going back inside. I sat there after he left, food order still in the passenger seat, and felt something I hadn't felt through this whole thing. Doubt. Not about the partition or the sale, I'd do that again in a heartbeat, but about whether I'd really won. I'd spent 3 years building up to that moment at the retirement party, handing him that envelope, watching his world unravel. I thought it would make me whole, like it would erase every time he called me a failure. But seeing him on that sidewalk, taking out trash in front of a shitty apartment building, I didn't feel whole. I felt like I'd traded one kind of emptiness for another. I drove away, delivered the food, and went home. That night I called Cody and told him what happened. He said he'd seen Dad at a coffee shop a month ago, looking the same way, tired, older, like someone who'd lost more than a house. Cody said he's starting to wonder if we didn't just punish our parents, but punished ourselves too. I told him that was bullshit. We took what was ours. We stood up for ourselves. He said, yeah, but at what cost? I didn't have an answer. Kayla's still posting on social media. Last week, she shared a photo of her and my parents at their apartment, sitting around a small dining table, smiling like everything's fine. Caption said something about family being the people who stick by you no matter what. I didn't comment, but I wanted to. I wanted to say those smiles are fake, that they're all pretending to be okay while the family's in pieces. But I didn't. My lawyer's advice still stands. Don't engage, don't give them ammunition. The latest twist came yesterday. Cody texted me a screenshot of an email from our parents' lawyer. They're trying to sue us, not for the partition, which they can't undo, but for intentional infliction of emotional distress. They're claiming the way we forced the sale caused them severe mental and physical health issues. My lawyer laughed when I sent him the email. Said it's a desperate move, almost no chance of winning, especially since we were within our legal rights. He said they'd have to prove we acted with malice, which is nearly impossible in a partition case. Still, it means more legal fees, more court dates, more drama. Cody's pissed. They're using money they don't have to drag this out. I'm not surprised. It's exactly the kind of thing my dad would do, one last swing to prove he's not powerless. I'm not worried about the lawsuit. It'll get thrown out, and even if it doesn't, they've got no case. But it's a reminder that this isn't over. I thought the sale was the end. But it's like I lit a match and the fire's still burning through what's left of the family. My parents won't let it go. Kayla's building a martyr complex around it. The extended family's picking sides, and every holiday, every gathering is a battleground now. Cody and I are on one side, them on the other, and there's no middle ground. I keep thinking about what my cousin Jet said at that barbecue. Both things can be true. My parents treated me like garbage for years, and I had every right to force the sale. But I also caused a kind of damage that doesn't heal. I don't regret the partition. I don't regret the money. But I'm starting to see that winning doesn't mean closure. It means living with the consequences same as they are. I'm 28, with a car, an apartment, and options I didn't have a year ago. I'm not the failure they said I was. But I'm also alone in a way I didn't expect. Not lonely, just separate. Like I've cut myself off from something I didn't realize I'd miss until it was gone. I'll update again if this lawsuit goes anywhere or if something else happens. For now, I'm moving forward, one day at a time, building a life that's mine. Not theirs, not the family's, mine. This is Trust Test Hub, and I'm still here, still fighting, still not